Hello, everyone. I'm very happy to have another young Indian with us, part of the Voice of the Young series. Right now, we have with us Sreya. Let's listen to her. Over to you, Sreya.
Thank you, Dr. Mathur. Hello, everyone. I'm Shreya. I'm currently an undergraduate student of economics at Madras Christian College in Chennai. Today, I want to talk about women, not just women education. I'll structure my speech as this. Like, I want to talk about what are the hurdles in women education, and is education sufficient for a woman to lead her life in India? So these are the things that I basically want to talk about. Let me start by telling my own story. When I was 17 or 18, when I completed my schooling here, I got an offer to do my undergraduation in economics from University of Melbourne. I was to go there, but I could not go there just because my parents restricted me from going there. I'm not talking ill about my parents, but I can understand. Maybe at that point in time, I was not mature enough to understand what they think and how they feel. But now, 2 years later, when I turn 20, when I see the world in a better way, I really understand how they would have felt, all the insecurities they would have encountered if they had to send me abroad for study. So that was a huge shock for me. And after that, when I always tell my peers also this, rejection is something that you can tolerate. But when you get some acceptance and you are not able to go get in, capitalize the opportunity, the regret that comes out of it is so huge that you can never ever tolerate. So, but yeah, that made me go for counseling for some 8 months, and it changed me as a person. I have seen both the sides of the coin, literally, both happiness and sadness that comes with something. But at this point, when I recover from everything and when I see the world, I feel that I'm very much lucky. Even if I'm not able to go to Melbourne and study something, I'm given an opportunity to study in India, to study in one of the top colleges in India, in economics. uh, so when I see other girls who go through the same thing, I feel they are not given this opportunity at all. A lot of students stop their education uh, after 8th standard or after 5th standard. I come from a state which is very well developed. I come from Tamil Nadu. If I think you can see in India, Kerala and Tamil Nadu have higher literacy rates compared to other states, especially the North Indian states still have problems in educating girl students. They still don't go to school after they attain puberty. They are not sent to school. I think this is a huge issue that we are talking about. We are, I think when we did a session with Dr. Mathur last month for our reading club, he was insisting on a point. India 2027. How would India be in 2047? So that is a big question. We have a huge goal for 2047, but if the women population is not educated, we can never ever get into that stage. That is something I have heard of, and that is something that I even believe in. But there another question comes: is education alone sufficient to attain what we want in life? I'll again give a personal example. My mother has 6 degrees. She was educated somewhere in the previous century, in the 20th century. She was a girl child. She was the first in her family. She had three siblings, three younger siblings. She was a person who was very well educated. She educated herself after one particular degree. She was to earn with that money. She will do a degree in correspondence. So she got 6 degrees, and she's one person I always look up to. But one thing, till a particular point in life, I have seen my mother. She had everything in a woman, what we say, an ideal woman wants. She had education, she had a government job, which is something huge in India, and she was such a hardworking woman. But I felt till one point in time, I used to see like my father or my grandfather would decide what sari she should wear, like when we go for purchase. I used to ask my mother when I was 10 or something, Amma, it is your money, you are going to pay the bill, but why should appa or grandfather tell you what you have to wear, what in which sari you look good? So that even for people it might seem a smaller problem, but that is something huge that determines a lot of things. Okay, if a woman is not given a liberty to choose her dress, what she wants to wear, what is she going to decide upon? And it is one realization. Slowly I started to realize a lot of things. And that is when I came when I was studying in college, when we did some macroeconomic theory. One day my professor said, you know what, there is a huge gap between education and employment. Almost 70% of Indian women are educated, but not all are employed. Only 30% come to the workforce. What about this remaining 40%? And how would the economy progress if these 40% of women come into the picture? So that is a crucial question we have to ask. And one more question is, what keeps these women away from the labor market? That is also very important. The major reason that keeps women away from the labor market, when I studied it for a paper, was marriage and domestic responsibilities, especially caregiving after a child's birth, or you have elderly people at home. And this is one thing. And the second thing is, again, this is something that is very much concerning. And one more thing that is very concerning is, people ask this question, why do you want to work? You have to work. There is a mindset in India that a lady has to work only if her husband is not able to provide as much as the family wants. She's just a supporting hand. Financial independence is still a question mark for Indian women. And these are two important reasons. And that's when I realized that education alone is not important for a woman. Something more is important to bring a woman to the labor force. And I personally think that empowerment is important. But how are we going to empower women in this traditional education? Sorry, in this traditional education environment is again a question mark. We all teach girls, we all tell girls that you score the highest mark, you get into the best college, you study, you get a good job, and that's all, your life is done. You might get financial independence, but financial independence is not just earning. It's independence should also be there in spending. And I think that is one part that we always leave off, and that is more concerning. So what I did was a study based on complexity. I think a lot of people, complexity, I know it's an evolving science. Basically, complex system science or complexity science is an interdisciplinary field that explores a problem, that investigates a problem through different lenses, through interdisciplinary lenses. For example, from sociology, from psychology, from economics, from biology. And I think problems, policies, economic policy framing is something that has to be looked from a complexity lens, not just one particular lens that generally we use. We always keep everything constant and study a problem through one particular lens. So that is a huge realization. And when I studied a bit deeper, I got to find two things. The role of media, in doing this. Once in a conference that I attended, I got to know that in Tamil Nadu, the state I pride, that I earlier said in the conversation also, that Tamil Nadu has a higher literacy rate. And interestingly, a lot of women in Tamil Nadu work. The highest number of working women are from Tamil Nadu. But a very shocking fact is that domestic violence is extremely high in Tamil Nadu. And Tamil Nadu tops that list in India also. That was very shocking, even compared to people, states like UP or Bihar, which people say is not that developed. It's a narrative that we are told, but that's farthest away from the truth. I think that is where we lack. And I learned personally that mass media like serials. Nowadays, in our generation we have all these Netflix series and other stuff, but back just 5-10 years back, we have the serials in televisions. Those serials have had a huge impact on changing the dynamics of society, on changing how people think in a society. And that's how domestic violence has drastically reduced in North Indian states. And I think now at this juncture, our responsibility is to make creative content, with some social justice. Social justice is not giving space, but it is giving space with respect, with dignity. And we must aim at producing serials or something that has future audience with some gender based lens. I think anything that we see around has a gender lens, but it's always used in a wrong way. For example, if we take a newspaper, whatever ads we see only women. For a sari ad we see a woman, for a jewelry ad we see ad we see a woman, and for every single advertisement that we see in mass media, it's women. And I think that also subconsciously decides the way the society has to look at women. Why not men in all these roles when men do everything? Even we walk around shops in Chennai, you always see men cooking in the restaurants, in the street side shops. But when it comes to home, we always want to see women cooking at home. We never want to see men cooking. I think there are a lot of contradictions there itself. So I think we should change at from the grassroots level, and we have to make policy decisions, both at the government level and at the, you know, some awareness program should be created at the smaller levels also, in a college level or in school level, that tries to change the way which people think. So yeah, that is what I wanted to convey. I know it is very short, but I hope it is, it meets the needs right now. Professor, you are muted.
Yeah. Well, Sreya, thank you so much. It's a very clear statement of the problem as you see it. And you are not alone in seeing this problem, but there are a lot of people who see the problem in the same way. It is a problem of both social and economic. And what you are saying is that so long as the social aspect remains, the economic aspect is overruled by the social aspect. So, yes, you get a good job, get a good education, you get a good job, but that's just your financial or economic side, but the social side doesn't change. And we had a discussion on the low labor force participation rate for women. And I'm not an expert on it, but we had some people who are experts. It's a very confusing picture because the casual people say it's because of tradition. But the tradition is the same in Bangladesh and Pakistan. But yet our labor force participation rate for women is lower. So, you can't blame that because the same tradition may be worse. So then how can that be responsible? That's a very casual way of talking about it. So what is it? And my conclusion, which I won't say is right, is that the economy has changed, but the society hasn't changed. Okay, it leads to a low labor force participation rate because the old roles, which give the higher labor force participation rate, are no longer the only roles. There are many more new roles, but there's hard, the society doesn't allow women to get into those new roles, which are the higher paying roles, which are the modern roles. And then at the same time, as the economic growth has taken place, the husbands earn more. And so the need, why do you want to earn? Right? So just as your ability to earn has gone up, I'm talking from a woman's point of view, just as your ability to earn has gone up, the need has come down in some sense because the men who are successful today make more money even after adjusting for inflation than in the past. So there is a social, I won't say I'm an expert, I won't say I'm right, but you have to understand, I think, that as the economy is changing, is the society changing along with it? My answer is no, because our norms are thousands of years old. The economy is just 5 years old, as you mentioned, that even things are changing every 5 to 7 years, and more will change with AI. But so if you don't have work from home, it's hard for women. You read all these stories of Bangalore people stuck in traffic till 11 o'clock. In Gurgaon, people stuck till 1 a.m. And it's very tough for a woman to be in that job after marriage, especially, because they aren't going to give up their family responsibilities. And how can you manage the family? You can manage the family responsibility with a fixed job, but it's very tough to say, look, I was stuck in the office till 10 at night. I mean, it's not going to work. I mean, no, I don't talk to, but I have Vidpeds with women who have children, and they often tell me that, Professor, I can't do it at 9 p.m. I have a toddler. So there is a social, they can't do the Vidped at 9. Can I just do it in my work hours? So there is an issue there, and obviously any policy change that tries to bring about social change meets with great resistance and is not very successful at all. I mean, dowry has been illegal since ever, but do you think dowry has vanished? The answer is no. Dowry is being practiced by the well-off people, by the people who are in government service and who are boasting that I'm a government officer, which is a highly paid, highly respected job. They're demanding high dowry. So what law are they going to implement, right? So the social change is very important, and I don't see it happening fast enough. I had many years ago, one of our friends uh, here was a Indian Foreign Service officer. Their wives, the men mostly, their wives live in the protocol of the old days, no matter how accomplished they are. Right? And she one day said, what is the use of going to IIT when in the end you're responsible for dinner? Because the foreign service officers will give some parties at their home, which they are obliged to do by government policies, protocol, and she said, that's not my job. So what the hell? What did IIT do for me? I'm still serving the same dinner. Only it's at government money, because we don't have to spend our own money. It's official dinner. But I do have to handle it. So what's the use of going to IIT? She had gone to IIT. She said, what's the use? I'm still doing dinner. It's a fancier dinner because my husband is a foreign service officer, but I'm doing dinner. That's all. Nothing more. I can't hold a job because it's not the protocol. If you are Air Force officer's wife, and I've done Vidped, so what can we do? Even if the husband is okay with it, as you said, consumption, yes, but we can't hold a job because then security issues, national issues, old traditions and so on. So they're stuck in the old role models. And suddenly, the wife of a air marshal decided that, look, I'm going to work for XYZ bank. Then people will say, what is this? It won't happen, right? Because then, again, the same issue that the husband has so many people coming at home for whatever reasons, it's the normal thing. But that normal continues. So she can't just say, no, I'm going to take this demanding job because I'm highly qualified. So they don't take it. So this social change is very tough to handle. Okay. So I had a long discussion with another sort of senior woman, and I said, look, the one tradition that hasn't changed is that the girls are still being prepared for the marriage market. But the marriage market has changed. This is my summary, that the marriage market has changed, so the preparation is different. But it is still preparation for the marriage market. So whether now nobody will well off will marry a girl who's only educated up till 10th, right? So you got to get at least a BA because otherwise you won't get married properly. So, but it's still the same response is to the marriage market. Marriage market has changed, so you change. But the overall truth still remains. Most parents take the safe way out and prepare their girls for the marriage market. There's just no. I know one woman, this I'm talking 1970s. She was a gold medalist in the master's degree in mathematics. And what is she doing now? She's serving dinner. What can you do? Right? So this is very hard. Anyway, let me not say more. I think you may have some other topics you want to talk to me about, or you want to talk yourself. Tell us a bit more about yourself. You've told us quite a lot. How did you get admission in Melbourne? I think that's a good question.
Getting into University of Melbourne is actually easy as an Indian student. We want a higher academic grades, which I had, and I was a well-rounded student. I can't play sports because I had some physical issues, but other than that, I was a very well-rounded student. So I got admission into University of Melbourne. And one more thing, like other universities, I have applied to other colleges in US and all. But one good thing about top universities in Australia is that they have certain counselors who would get in touch with us, and they would help us to get into a particular university. They are authorized counselors by those colleges, so that would make our way easier to get into top universities there. They'll help us get scholarships, and they will guide us in all these visa processing and application process on the whole. So that's how I got into Melbourne. But that's a different story. I got into Melbourne only after I joined MCC, and I was about to finish one semester here.
Well, if it's any consolation, when I was in high school in Jaipur in the 1960s, I had a scholarship to go to an American high school for 1 year, but my parents said no. But it was right. I would say it was a wrong decision. I would say it was because it was such a change as I look back from life in Jaipur in the late 1960s, not even the mid 1960s, to education in the US in schools, which I've seen my children go through, that it would have been a complete disaster. Because not just the education, but the life is so different and so today it's easier because you know everything because of the internet. Those days we didn't even have a proper map of the other country. Some book had a map, you saw it, maybe you understood a few things, but you didn't know. And you didn't know, even when later I went to US, I mean, we didn't know anything. So imagine that when you're 16, when you don't know anything about the country, people expect certain behavior of you. You don't know what to do. So I'm glad that they said no, because it might have turned out that I would have come back totally confused.
Might
But
be accepting that decision as a teenager is very hard, but after you age, after you turn some 25 or 30, it is easy to understand how they would have felt.
so I understood it then also. I said, look, in my gut, I said, good. If I'm good enough at this age, I'll be good enough later also. So it's okay. I mean, it was comfortable. You were familiar with your life, your friends, and so on. So it wasn't a terrible thing. Why am I leaving these people? What the hell? It's a nice place. You like your school, you like your teachers, and so on. It wasn't a great school or great teachers, but still, you like it. So it wasn't a big deal. Anyway, let's hear about you, not me.
Yeah. In the recent time, I'm interested in something called complexity science.
Yeah.
I know that it's an evolving science, but we'd had an exhibition on complex systems. So in our department, one thing that I love about MCC is the reading club that we have in our department. It was initiated by one of my professors. His name is Arun Koshi, Professor Arun Koshi, and he is one man that I always look up to. And the reading club that he has set up for us might be 3 4 years back, a year before I had joined my UG here. And that is what encouraged me to read something beyond the curriculum, the traditional curriculum. He used to encourage us to read something heterodox, because here we are always taught neoclassical economics, and we are always taught to look from that particular lens. So it was very nice. Now I'm reading a book on entropy economics. So it is linking physics, biophysics and economics. So that is very interesting way to look at economics. So last year, in 2025 March, we had an exhibition on complex systems. It was a very big exhibition. Like, it was around 170 students were a part of that exhibition, and we were exploring different topics. Like, it started with an introduction to complex systems, and then we explored evolutionary game theory and complex systems, networks and complex systems, complex adaptive systems, complexity economics, and Asian-based modeling. And it was I coordinated the entire exhibition, so I had a lot of materials in my hand. Though I wasn't able to go through everything, because like it's very technical to go through everything, I had a little bit of interest in what complexity economics is. And that's when I landed up in this book, Making Sense of Chaos by Doyne Farmer. Honestly, I haven't read the entire book, but I love the way he uses complexity to analyze economic events. So that is how I got interested into complexity economics. I'm still in the basics. I'm taking baby steps at this moment. And yeah, sometime in the future, I want to pursue complexity economics further, and might be I'll do another Vidped with Professor. It's very nice as of now. I
Okay.
love reading.
All right. Wonderful. All right. Tell us, share something about your personal side other than that you were a smart student who got into Melbourne. We agree. But now tell us something about your personal side.
I mean, I was actually quite outspoken person. I'm such an outspoken person. So I was an extroverted person till grade 10 or 11. So there was one incident in class 12 that changed me to an introvert, or kind of I'm not exactly an introvert, kind of a silent person. So this is one advice that I also give to girls. Now, whenever you talk with somebody, male or female, be conscious on how you talk. So there was an incident in our school. There was one young teacher, probably in his 20s, who was very cheerful, and all the students liked him because his approach towards teaching was totally different from what other teachers did. So you basically, I think everybody can understand this. We children had just 10 years difference with him, and he was so fun. And he used to come or talk very well, talk in native language and teach. So that is one thing people can easily connect to. And he was very close with two particular girls in our class, and I was one among them. And at the point of time, I felt a bit uncomfortable with him. When he started sharing things that a teacher should not share to a student, and that to a high school student, high secondary student. Uh, and I am very honest, and I'm very close to my parents. I told them, Amma and Appa, this is what happens in class, and I don't feel very secure. And this issue was taken to the principal's notice, and there was an investigation where I was proved that I was right with my allegation on the teacher, and he was suspended for nearly a month or something. But after that incident, a lot of students in my class started alienating me because I was very honest, and that particular teacher was suspended because of me. And that issue taught me something very important. At that point, as a 16-year-old, I felt very guilty. I felt that he had trust on me. He told something to me personally, but I opened up. I shouldn't have done that. That was a very guilty feeling. But when I was taking a counseling at a later after 2 years, when I was talking to my counselor and I told that this incident hurts me for a long time, she told me that you were right, you were honest, so you were alienated. There's nothing wrong in kids telling their parents what happens in class, and that's actually very important, especially when you feel insecure. And what you have done is not right, wrong, it's right. Just because your friends alienate you for something, it never means that you are dishonest.
Mm.
Sometimes when you're honest, when you are right, nobody would stand by you. You have to accept that, and sometimes it might break you for some time. but I think eventually it makes you more stronger also. So till now, I always believe one thing: if it's right, tell it's right. If it is wrong, tell it wrong. So if it's black, call it black. No, just call a spade a spade. That's always better on every side. That is one virtue that I personally hold, and I'm very conscious when I mingle with people, when I behave with people. I think I set my limit when I talk to people, when I'm with people. So that incident taught me a very important lesson for life.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry it happened to you because you should always feel confident with your teachers, never uncomfortable. I think it's a basic rule that teachers are the one that students look up to, and the teacher should never violate that trust. And if they do, then it's a serious problem. And I think I would say you're right that no teacher should ever make you feel uncomfortable because the social power of the teachers is very high. Because we just, even today, somebody asked me, there was one headmaster of a school in West Bengal. He asked me that, Mr. Mathur, can you give me 90 minutes in the Vidped? And I said, sir, you're a headmaster. I cannot say no to a headmaster. Even at this age, you remember your headmaster, your principal, or whatever it is called. And he said, no, we still have respect for a teacher who's the principal. So how can I say no to you? If you want 90 minutes, you have 90 minutes. So we have respect for our teachers. And then if they violate that trust, then I think they should be rightly brought to public notice.
And
Okay.
actually, that incident also shaped me how I would want to see me as a teacher, because I am an aspiring teacher. I want to teach kids sometime here. So that also shaped me how I should behave. But I'm very fortunate to have wonderful teachers now in college
Hmm.
who set an inspiration to me.
Hmm.
And I also want to quote an article by Francis Su, the author of the book The Mathematics for Human Flourishing.
Mhm.
In one of his articles, which is very famous, he had written an article titled "The Lesson of Grace in Teaching." I think grace is one thing that makes children feel alive. No matter how what they go through in their personal life, how they do in academics, I think grace of teachers can change everything, change
Yeah.
how a person values themselves. So that's one thing that also shaped my view on how I should teach.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to add here?
Professor, I just want to ask about your view on complex systems and complex system science. If
Well,
you can.
I must say that you probably know more about it than I do.
Oh, no, no.
Because I am not uh, certainly an expert on it, and it is an emerging field, and it certainly wasn't there in our times. But I understand the importance of it, and the counterpart of it in terms of public policy is that we need multidimensional public policies. So that I have written about and think about, but honestly, I think you know more about complex systems than I do, so let's pass on that topic.
Sure, Professor. And one more thing that I wanted to ask you is about your book that you were writing, and I think it's releasing in August.
Yeah, that is the book on India 2047, and it's still in writing. I'm involved in too many things, so it is getting delayed. But the main point is, I think I told you in that talk, but that we need to have goals. So I'm going to call it a manifesto for young people because we cannot have this vague talk that we are going to have Viksit Bharat, we are going to have Atmanirbhar, we are going to do Swadeshi. I mean, look, the UN has SDGs for the whole world. Why don't we have our goals? It's not such a rocket science that we stop this. I mean, at least for educated people, that look, these are the goals. What's the progress? Otherwise, you don't have any idea of what is progress. One day, this is called progress. Another day, this is called failure. So what is the goal? What is the, and then, between a goal, which is the means, and then the ends, how we get to that goal. That difference is very important, and people are very unclear. As you rightly said, is the goal to get girls more educated, or is the goal to get women more income, or is the goal to give women the freedom to buy what they want? Right? So, what is the goal? So people say, oh, enrollment rate of girls in high school in Tamil Nadu is higher than in another place. But is that a goal, or is that a step towards meeting the goal? Right? So that difference I want to bring out very clearly, that I have defined two super goals. Super goal means these are the highest level things that we want. Then work your way down to goals, and then I don't have sub goals yet, but that's what I want people to come up with and discuss. So it's book to initiate a discussion. So these are the two. One is a domestic goal, and then one is the international goal. Right? So those are my two super goals. I said there's an international goal, and then there's a super domestic goal. Below that, I have 8 goals. And then below the 8 goals is going to be sort of what as economists we would think of as the macro, and the international. But I'm not going to call it by that name, the big picture, which could include the political circumstances, corruption, and the good things that we have, universal voting, universal rights to everybody has a right to vote. We have peaceful transfer of power. So those are the good things. But are we clear in the Constitution as to who's responsible? Now, as everybody knows that we have traffic congestion in Bangalore, maybe even Chennai is as bad. Gurgaon. People say I'm paying 40% income tax, and this is what I'm getting. But to whom are you paying the income tax? And who is responsible for the maintenance of the roads in your city? So these are then issues which come lower down, that if you want a comfortable life in large cities, what do you do? And my answer is develop the smaller towns so that we don't have this kind of congestion in the large cities. There's no way that Bangalore and Gurgaon and Pune can continue to grow at the rate they're growing. And if our population growth is 2% per year, maybe less, and our growth rate of population in these large cities is 5-7%, how can this be that the infrastructure will be provided? So we have to think what is the way to get comfortable life in Bangalore. Comfortable life in Bangalore means developing the other cities of Karnataka, so that not everybody goes to Bangalore, so that not everybody goes to, of course, Chennai, then Madurai, and so on. But still, so anyway, this is the kind of thinking that's in that book. So I'm still writing it. I have many other things to do, so unfortunately, it's a bit slower than I had anticipated. But if it's not out in August, it will be out in September. Anyway, August, September doesn't matter because it's aimed at 2047. Okay, so it's a manifesto for young people that this is how you will keep track of the progress in our country. And the book is not authoritatively final. It is more like saying, let's have a discussion, people. Let's have a discussion. What are the variables that we are going to measure? Some are maybe not quantitative, they are political and social. And then are they inputs, or are they outputs, or are they outcomes? Like what you wanted is input is the girls' education. output is you can get a job. But the outcome is you should be free to spend your life the way you want to. Right? So that differentiation isn't there in the thinking and often in the teaching also. So that's what I'm after, to write it in very simple language. But I'm a very fast writer. I just sometimes these days I just don't have the time. Because I'm exploring a book on adaptation to climate change. As you know, Tamil, Chennai, you're familiar with floods. Right? And the floods are going to take place and the heat waves are going to come. What are we going to do? How is the economy going to respond to these? So finally, I have an agree. This is sort of very tentative, but we have I alone can't do it. So I have a co-author. We are going to work out the modalities. And this will be sort of an international book on that. Look, we have lost the fight against climate change. We can still try, and that's good to try, but a lot of the fight is already lost. And countries are already experiencing. I mean, we can say, oh, Pakistan has flooding, so what? I say, well, nature doesn't know where the boundary line is between Pakistan and India. And that was drawn by some British guy sitting in London. He didn't send a telegram to nature that, listen, here's the boundary line. You need a visa to get across. And today the visa is not coming. Nature doesn't care. If it's going to flood the Punjab in Pakistan, it's going to flood the Punjab in India. If it's going to flood Bangladesh, it's going to flood Bengal. Right? So we have to get ready for climate change. In economic terms, is the probably going to be the most important external shock to the economy. So if you think about it in economic terms, it's like, say the price of oil doubles. The international price of oil doubles. So that's a major shock to the economy. Climate change is similar. It's a major external shock which you can't control. You have to learn to live with it. So you have to minimize the damage it will do to you, including perhaps finding some things that give you a positive. So how do you do that? That's what I'm thinking about also. And we'll be writing that book. So there's a lot going on.
Best wishes, Professor.
Pardon?
Thanks. Best wishes, Professor.
Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, anything else?
No, as of now,
Okay.
these are things that I'm working on.
Okay, good. Let's end it here. I want to talk to you a bit offline. So let's end
Yeah,
it. So thank you, Sreya.
thank
I'll
you.
be back with another young person or an expert soon. Till then, bye, everybody.